Zone B lost. Three minutes. B captured. Double down. Tell them to line up fast.
Two for one. Own advantage is yours. 2 down.
Primary weapons are a crucial part of most PvP loadouts. Although they are overshadowed by one-hit kill special weapons such as snipers, shotguns, and grenade launchers, the question is how vulnerable are we once we are out of special? In my honest opinion, mastering your primary is detrimental to getting better at PvP in general, and would only come second to movement and positioning. Today I'm going to go over a hand cannon training routine that I have created for Kovaak specifically for 150s, being that they are so widely used in the sandbox. However, you can apply these training routines to 110s, 140s, and 180s with just a minor adjustment. But before we get into that, I wanted to ask you guys for a really big favor. Please drop a like down below if you enjoyed or learned something new from this video. It really helps out with the algorithm and allows me to possibly end up in the recommendation section of YouTube, therefore being able to reach and help more Guardians. Also, I'll be giving away 2 Model O mouses at 5,000 subscribers. So be sure to smash that subscribe button to enter and ring the notification bell so that you don't miss a new video and a chance to win. But regardless, your viewership is enough for me, and I am very grateful for your time and truly hope you guys benefit from this video in some way, shape, or form. Now, if you guys have ever been on Twitch and have watched Frostbelt, Crafty, ZK Mushroom, or Ceratus, you'll see that the reliance on primary and special is a 70-30 split. 70% primary and 30% special. I would even go as far to say that if push came to shove, these guys could pull huge numbers with or without special. For instance, if you're a fan of Crafty and watch him during trials, it's not uncommon to see him gun down an entire team with just his spare rations and some killer movement. The mastery of primaries is one of the key factors that separates an average player from a great player. This is because most players put an emphasis on learning how to use Revoker, Fellwinters, and Mountaintop rather than their primaries, neglecting the fact that once they run out of special, they are dependent on a weapon that they are not efficient at. This can put you at a severe disadvantage against a player that understands his primary and knows the most effective way to use it. I want to show you 3 factors that will greatly affect your aim before explaining this hand cannon training routine. This will give you a better understanding of the weapon you are wielding and how to fully optimize it. Let's get started with shot rhythm. Shot rhythm is the time that it takes your reticle to set after the first shot, thus allowing your reticle to reset and take the next shot without the penalty of recoil, or to at least minimize it. Mastering this rhythm will allow you to dominate against opponents that are just spamming their shots. The key is to consistently shoot in the constraint of this rhythm, all while tracking your opponent. This is easier said than done when you are taking things into consideration such as flinch or engaging multiple opponents. However, even against those variables, if the shot rhythm is kept during the engagement, the odds of you winning are greatly improved. This is due to maintaining your initial accuracy by allowing the reticle to set. Here are the optimal shot rhythms for each hand cannon archetype. The 110s, 40s, 150s, and lastly, the 180s. In this video, we'll be focusing strictly on the 150 archetype due to its prevalence in this meta. Now, for whichever archetype you are using, I want you to find a wall and do the exact same procedure I've just shown you to find out your weapon's shot rhythm. When you acquire the rhythm, memorize it. being that you will be utilizing it for the majority of this training routine. Even though shot rhythm is a huge factor in regards to accuracy, it will be completely ineffective if we do not acquire the target first, aka being the first to engage. This is where target acquisition comes to play. Target acquisition is the amount of time between noticing a target and then getting the reticle to that location. This is essentially how quick a player is to jump from one target to the next. Being skilled in this area is crucial to survivability and winning back-to-back engagements, thus increasing your awareness consciously and subconsciously so that your mind can differentiate an enemy player from the surrounding environment. This process is grossly underestimated and is often generalized in one statement for mouse and keyboard players, such as, "It's M&K. All you need to do is point and shoot." When in reality, there is one major step that needs to be mastered in order to optimize target acquisition. This step is known as centering. Centering the target or getting the target to the center of the screen will allow you to minimize the amount of adjustment needed to accurately hit the target. I've seen so many players make the mistake of ADSing before centering their target, thus putting them at a huge disadvantage before the engagement even starts. The first disadvantage is cutting off your field of view, which also turns off your radar and creates a huge blind spot for the next possible engagement. And the second is that you'll have to drag your reticle a far distance to get to the target. This will make you slower because you are zoomed in, which means that there is a high chance that the opponent will get the first shot in. This is why centering before ADSing is so important. It will minimize the amount of adjustment needed to hit the target when in ADS, and will allow more time to take in all the information from the surrounding area before engaging. This will give you a good idea on where to start with the next potential opponent. Now, even after we acquire the target and get the first shot in, there is another factor that is needed for a quick and efficient kill. It will allow us to focus on the target and stick to them no matter where they strafe. This factor is known as tracking. Tracking is how well target acquisition is maintained during an engagement, or how well you track the opponent, minimizing all distraction. Before we learn how to efficiently track, we have to understand aim assist in Destiny 2. As we all know, controller on PC has aim assist, but did you know that M&K has it as well? Although the amount of aim assist given to M&K may be very slight, it is still there. When comparing Destiny 2 to games such as Counter-Strike or Valorant, the hitboxes for Destiny 2 are quite huge and the ability to stick to them are easier due to aim assist. Knowing this is important when it comes to tracking because it will dictate how we aim and follow the target. What I want you to do is imagine a box on the target, with the bottom at the lower chest and the top ending slightly above the head. This is known as model aiming. Model aiming is to track a huge portion of the model, aka the Guardian, in engagements rather than focusing strictly on the head or reticle. This type of tracking is quite effective for Destiny 2 because of how big the hitboxes are and the amount of aim assist allotted to us. When combined correctly with shot rhythm, your accuracy should increase significantly. Now that we have the three factors out of the way, let's get into this training routine. I've created 4 out of the 5 exercises in this Kovaaks training routine to best represent hand cannons on Destiny 2 PC. With that being said, the weapon in this scenario is not an exact representation of a specific hand cannon, but rather a generalization of 150 hand cannons. So before we get into it, I want to lay down a couple of ground rules in order for these exercises to be effective. The first rule is to only shoot with the rhythm from your selected archetype for all of the hand cannon exercises. Second, spamming of any kind is prohibited. I have implemented recoil for all of my exercises to punish spamming and to reward proper shot rhythm. And lastly, do not ADS until the target is completely centered when you are doing any type of tracking hand cannon exercise. Each exercise will last 5 minutes, totaling 25 minutes, and should be done in the same order presented in the video. If you want extra credit, double up the time for each exercise, totaling 50 minutes. This routine should be done daily or at least 5 times a week, lasting for a 4-week period. If you'd rather train 140s instead of 150s, just simply apply the shot rhythm to each of the hand cannon exercises. Now, let's get started. The first exercise in this routine is the D2HC rhythm training. This is essentially one wall 9,000 targets with modifications to shot delay and recoil pattern to better represent hand cannons. This exercise is pure click timing and rhythm training with a touch of tracking. Doing this consistently will help create a solid foundation of muscle memory. So when you're engaging in real-time combat, you do not need to consciously think about shot rhythm. Instead, it will be achieved subconsciously and instinctually. This will give you more time to focus on target acquisition and tracking rather than worrying about the time in between shots. Lastly, do not reposition your mouse during the entirety of the exercise. If that's not possible for you, then try to minimize the readjustment to once every minute. This is to help build better mousepad awareness, which is to memorize your pad dimensions and mouse movement limitations. In engagements, sometimes there is no time to readjust. We have to adapt and learn how to keep accurate even when in awkward positions. Next, we have one wall, 6 targets small. Classic exercise in Kovaaks. This is one of my favorites and will always be included in any routine that has to do with precision. You do not need to apply shot rhythm to this exercise, just strictly focus on precision. I recommend doing this slowly at first, shooting one target and then making a straight line to the next without any distraction. This will help build a solid foundation of muscle memory, which will allow you to go faster while doing this exercise in the future. The exercise is meant to train your precision and target acquisition when it comes to hitting headshots from medium to far distances, therefore decreasing your chances of firing before or after the reticle hits the target. Up next, we have the D2 HC tracking long strafe. This exercise is a variation of the Kata IC long strafe with modification to shot delay and recoil. Also, I've added heads to these targets which count as crits when they are shot. Just like in Destiny 2, the fastest way to defeat these targets is with 3 crits to the head. So in layman's terms, it will be in your best interest to focus on hitting headshots. Use the model tracking technique I stated before in this exercise and mentally create a box to track the upper half of the model. This exercise focuses on tracking a target in one direction for an extended period of time. If you haven't noticed already, the heads of the models are disproportionate to the body. This is not an exact, but rather a close representation of the average hand cannon crit box in Destiny 2. The D2 HC fast short strafe is similar to the previous exercise, but rather than strafing in one direction for an extended period, the target will perform random short strafes from left to right. This exercise will simulate the movements of a better than average opponent that is strafing while dueling. Just like in the last exercise, the fastest way to defeat these targets is with 3 crits to the head. I know it may seem difficult at first, but try your best to maintain shot rhythm for the entirety of these hand cannon exercises. The only exception being one wall, 6 targets small. Lastly, we have the D2 HC vertical 360 target switching. In this exercise, you will be shooting and tracking vertical targets, but this is not the only objective of the exercise. It will also train you to quickly and accurately switch and acquire targets, thus increasing the speed between one target to another. This will improve your ability to recognize, eliminate, and move to the next targets with speed and accuracy. This exercise also has crit multipliers which will allow you to quickly defeat targets with just 3 headshots. Now before I wrap things up, I want to state that consistency with this training routine is the key to success. Just like how Rome was not built in a day, neither is muscle memory and great accuracy. You will not see any improvement by doing this just a couple of times. Improvements usually start to show at the 2 to 3 week mark and is strictly dependent on whether or not you have kept consistent. And for the final disclaimer, this routine is not the end all be all that will make you a god with hand cannons in the Crucible. You can have the best aim ever, but someone with great map knowledge, situational awareness, and better movement will always destroy you in a match. So playing the actual game is needed to improve, just don't solely rely on Kovaaks. That's about all I have for you guys today. I truly hope that this helps at least a few Guardians looking to improve their hand cannon aim. If you want to see more videos like this, where I go in depth into Kovaaks training specifically for click timing or tracking on Destiny 2, please turn on your notification button and subscribe. Thank you again for watching, and peace.